Check, check,
Right.
check, check. Check, check, check,
Right.
check. I think it's working.
Check, check.
Check, it's working.
Check, check. Okay.
Check, check.
Check, check. Alrighty. Let's see. Not gonna open chat. Okay. Alrighty. Ready?
Yes.
Hello, happy February, everybody.
Happy
We're back.
February. Happy Lunar New Year. To those who celebrated it. Oh, my fingers are red.
Yeah, Cheeto hands. I was like looking at that. I was like, why? Are your
Sorry,
fingers-
like I discovered something new from my coworkers, and I couldn't stop eating it before I came.
I was like looking at mine. I was like,
I know. I was
what?
like, I was like, I should use those finger chopsticks, but I was like, I don't want to get up from the couch.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, Avery Wolf here.
Mason K with the Cheeto fingers.
And we're back with a another reading wrap up. I guess to start, is there anything new? Just new snacks?
Yeah, new snacks. I don't know. Cucumber with lemon and tahini and hot Cheetos. A pretty good combo.
Oh, I've had the tahini lemon cucumbers, but not together with hot Cheetos.
Oh yeah, so that was that was delicious. The crunch of the hot Cheetos and the slight spiciness of those, delicious. Now I'm embarrassing. I scrubbed my hands but I think the lemon is making it stick more.
It's okay. Aside from that, anything else? Or anything you're excited for this month or next month?
Oh, I just realized I have Texas on my shirt. I don't know. No, not much. Nothing new. Just living life, working, grinding the midnight oil. Is that how the saying goes?
I think that's how it goes.
Yes, and then working. Just mostly working.
Oh.
Yeah. How about you? You and the family?
It's been busy. So my son started to crawl and he's sitting up and he's eating solids. So we're just like adapting to that.
Did you cover the outlets?
He's still in his playpen.
Okay.
So he's doing some independent playing and stuff. But yeah, he's very energetic. So that's yeah.
To show him the little door stop spring, the one that's on the bottom.
I don't I don't have those anymore because of Zuli. She tore all of them off. But yeah, Zuli's my other baby. Forever baby. Other than that, just been reading. Haven't been writing because my energy's like burnt out. And what else? I tried filming a YouTube video, but then like looking at all the footage, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a better script. So
What was the content?
I was gonna do the January wrap up,
Mm.
but then I was like I would describe each book, but then I think I would leave out like key like descriptions or something, and like I didn't want to go back the next day and film like a whole different outfit like to fill in the blanks. So it's like, oh, maybe this month I will film something but with a actual script.
You got
And
this.
then we'll see. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out the
That's
end of the
right.
month. So I'm gonna be busy with that too. Other than
There's
that,
that.
that's about it.
Um. Oh well. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been doing much. I have been puzzling more. That
Good.
counts. Just puzzles. I'm trying to. I'm trying to. I'm trying to speed puzzle. Just.
Okay.
But it's so. It's so draining mentally.
Yeah, I'd get frantic and be like, oh my god,
Mm. Oh
how
yeah.
many pieces?
I
Yeah.
know. I'm trying to get under an hour and a half, but it's hard. I got to 2 hours, but an hour and a half is my goal.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's a fun hobby. Um, so to get
Tell you're going out of the
started,
country.
Hold on. What?
You
yeah.
tell you're going out of the country for fucking puzzling competition.
Later.
Oh.
Oh, fine.
Oh.
No. Um. I guess we're planning on going to Portland, Oregon in August for a puzzle competition.
Did Lee say go out of the country?
Yeah.
What the hell, Lee?
But yeah, if you leave the country then come back and end up in Portland. But yes. So
Okay.
in August.
It's
That's
like a 4-hour flight, Lee.
yeah.
Okay. But that's cool.
Yes. So yeah, that's
Okay.
gonna be fun. It's gonna be me and my coworker Aaron. So we're teaming
Mm-hmm.
up. We're teaming up for the pairs competition, and then
Oh.
yeah. So that's why we're trying to like we puzzle like every day during our lunch to see if we can complete a 500 piece within the hour. It's possible.
Okay.
It's
It
like
is.
it's hard depending on the puzzle. And then Lee's going for support, her husband's going for support, so
That's
yeah.
cool. There's a lot of good food over there, so don't miss out on that.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, and visit the bookstore.
oh yeah, that's right.
It's so big. It's like a maze.
Nice, yes. But yeah, that's in August, and it's only like 3 hours out of our day, so
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
There's a lot of fun stuff to do there
Mm.
outside of the 3 hours, so you'll be kept busy.
No, I think I have a feeling we're gonna be spending most of that time practicing.
Oh, what time of the day is it?
So our competition, time slot is I think in the morning at 9 to 12, and then, but I think before and after we're probably just going to practice, just puzzling most of the time.
Okay,
With the,
that's fun.
yeah.
You're like,
I know. It doesn't sound fun to a lot of people, but
I mean,
that's
we're at that age where like cozy things sound fun. Well, at least to me, like introverts
Yeah, I have a
just like staying home, doing something cozy.
yeah, I have a lot of cozy habits that I've been not habits, sorry, hobbies since I've been what since I've been in high school, middle school, high school. I don't
Yeah.
know any extroverted hobbies.
I mean, that's fine. Um, all right. So, where we left off last time, I think our prompts were to keep reading till we find a 5-star romance or a favorite couple, and to also read a classic, and to also read a book with the crown on the cover.
Okay. Let me see.
Uh,
Okay. Full disclosure, I had a bit of a reading slump this month. It was very hard for me to pick up a book after like the first week of reading. And then I didn't follow all of the um I don't want to say requirements. Okay, book topics are intended book topics. I kind of didn't follow it.
That's fine.
But yeah, so I mean, I read a couple of books, but after a certain book, I was like, I didn't feel like reading. So like, about like for a week and a half, I was like, I don't want to read anything.
Don't worry, I felt that way too. There was like one book I read that I felt that took me so long to read because it was just so boring. It was one of those books. But yeah. So,
but I for sure did find a 5-star romance. I think that's the only thing I found.
Okay, that's fine. It's more, the prompts are more of like, and then like what's it called? Like I don't know the word.
Yeah, I know.
I'm forgetting my words. Forgetting my words these days.
It's not a requirement. Like it's not. It's kind of like they're like guidelines. There you go.
Yeah. Like something to look for, I guess. I don't know. To read something different. I don't know. Something that's like kind of exciting to achieve, in a sense. If that makes sense. Lee, my bad, out of the state. I was like, dang, that's a serious competition. Out of country.
I mean, there's the world championship in Spain every year. That's
I
out
know,
of the country.
like that makes sense, like a world competition. But if it's like the beginning, you know, competitions. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, we wanted to do the one in San Diego, but that like sold out quick. Like 2 days. After 2 days, the tickets were all gone.
There's none like in Anaheim or something like LA?
No, I don't think so. Not that I know. Anyways, tangent. Okay.
So I guess we'll start with whoever has the lowest rating. Read. I have a 2-star.
I guess. Would I? Go ahead. You know what? You go first.
Okay, so my first book is the book that took me so long to read. And that's Yumi and the Nightmare Painter.
Wow, another Brandon Sanderson. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I gave this 2 stars.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Tell Lee
okay.
to cover his ears.
Okay. So the premise is essentially Final Fantasy X meets the anime movie Your Name. If you don't know what that is, Your Name is about a boy and a girl who somehow magically switch bodies, and they have to figure out, why that happened and how they can fix it. And then Final Fantasy X, more so Final Fantasy X, what relates or what is similar to this book is that there's a summoner that essentially offers up her life to serve the people of Spira and the spirits of Spirit and to save them. So essentially we follow a girl who was pretty much... Okay, Lee says, I didn't read Yumi, so it's all good. Oh, I thought you said you did last time. So we follow a girl who's pretty much the chosen one in her world.
Mm-hmm.
And she pretty much, works for her people and works to summon spirits and whatnot to help her people. And that's all she does for her life. And then in another world, we have a boy who works as a painter, and these painters paint to defend their home from these entities called nightmares. So he'll paint like bamboo or something, and it'll like kind of defend from these entities. And so one day, somehow their lives magically cross paths, even though they're from different worlds. And they need to figure out why they're in each other's worlds and like what they need to do to like fix it and whatnot. So this book was so boring. So it like, okay, so we all know Brandon Sanderson. He's very good at like magic systems, like unique world building, and all of that. But like the characters in this one I couldn't connect with again. And on top of that, like there was a lot not happening throughout the book. Like it was a lot. It kind of felt like watching like one of those K-dramas where it's like you're waiting for something to happen and it just doesn't happen. So it felt like watching one of those. So one of the least popular K-dramas. And yeah, there's just like the premise was interesting. Like when I heard that someone compare it to Final Fantasy X, I was like, oh, okay. Like that sounds interesting. I liked Final Fantasy X. But this one just didn't live up to the hype. But yeah, it was just like throughout the book, they're trying to like learn each other's jobs, I guess, in their other worlds, and like her job is to like summon spirits, and to do that she needs to stack rocks, and I'm just like, this is the most boringest like activity, like stacking rocks, and like he has to train and stack rocks for so many chapters, and like her and she needs to learn how to paint bamboo. So she's training to paint bamboo so that she could like defend against these nightmare entities. But yeah, it just didn't work with me. And I kind of wish I DNF'd it, but I was kind of hoping that it was going to be like Tress of the Emerald Sea, where something exciting happened like the last 100 pages, but it just wasn't that exciting.
It didn't happen for you.
Yeah, it just didn't happen. So I was kind of bummed because I was like really hyped for this one. I was like, okay, like this has to be the one that I really like, right? But no. Like even like it's like it's obvious that, you know, they're gonna have some sort of relationship. That wasn't even cute to me. Like yeah, it was a disappointment for me. So yeah, I gave it 2 stars. It was written really well. Like if it were made into like a Studio Ghibli film or like, you know, anime movie, it would have been very beautiful, I'm sure. And like I probably would have loved it. But the fact that it's just, you know, it's a book. It wasn't that great. Yeah, so that's that. It's kind of like Howl's Moving Castle. The book wasn't that great, but the movie made it so beautiful and whatnot. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, it was like that.
Was this the beginning of the month? Or
yeah, I think I started this like the first, and then it lasted like into the double digits of the month. I was like, yeah, I was pretty much skimming majority of it, but that's that.
Okay. So, in the beginning of the month, like after we ended, I read the Kings of Sin series. It's a right now it's a 3-book series, but I think the 4th one is gonna come out this year. So it's basically you probably saw it on Book Talk. It's the King of Greed, the King of Pride, and the King of Wrath. It's the one with these covers.
Okay, I think I've seen it.
Yeah, so this is the first one: Wrath, Pride, and Greed. I just want to say, I can see why it was blowing up all over our Book Talk. So I was like, okay, I'll just read it. There is one of these books does have, I would say, a 5-star romance, but I'm not going to mention that yet. I am going to mention King of Greed first. So it's so bright, and my ring light is like lighting it up. I would say is probably my lowest rating of the month. It's a second chance romance. It's second chance romance, or about a married couple. So this Wall Street guy, of course, you know, greed. The first thing you think about greed in the modern times is like Wall Street people. I don't know. So he is more like he has like the rags to riches story. He comes from like a poor background, and he studied and and he worked really hard to become one of the most sought after Wall Street guy in New York. So he's like super
Mm-hmm.
rich. He married his college sweetheart. Um, but now that he's like rich, he's has no time for his wife, and his wife like feels neglected. She doesn't feel seen, so she ends up asking for divorce, and this kind of this kind of like wakes him up from his work life. Sorry, my brain is not working.
No, it's fine. It's Friday. It's
Mm-hmm.
late.
Yeah, he like it's like a kick in the pants of where he's at personally in his life. So he like goes through the motions of trying to win her back, but she is very hesitant of wanting to get back together with him. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I thought the story was nice. I mean, sometimes it's just nice to read of, you know how like when they say second chance romance, it's like about like high school sweethearts breaking up and then getting back together again, and like in 20 years after they've lived their life.
Mm-hmm.
This one was more like, oh, it was just about like a failing relationship or a failing marriage, and then the man just was like, oh, I can't lose her. She's the love of my life. She's everything to me and all that. I was like, oh, okay. But
Okay.
um,
But
I don't know. I just out of all the books in this series, out of 3 books, I just like this one the least because I don't know. I don't. It's just something about the guy that just makes me want to be like, eh, you kind of had it
mm.
coming. Like, mm, you're you're not that great.
Oh,
um, but
wait,
yeah,
so they're all about the same people, right? Not companion novels.
they're companion books.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so it could be read solo, if
Okay.
if anything. But yeah, it's just I thought like I would enjoy reading this book, um, but it was just like I think at this point after reading the first 2, I was just like, it's like the same formula as the other 2 books, and I was kind of getting tired of reading it. So, like you, I was kind of skimming it by the end of it, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair to this book, but I was just by the middle, I was just like, okay, this sounds repetitive. Let's just get on with it. Because I mean, yeah, like it's like a boy meets girl, boy marries girl, boy loses girl, and then boy gets girl again. It's just one of those things.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
I know.
Let's see here. Okay. So my next book, I rated a 2.5 stars. And it's called
With
With
any.
Any Luck. I was trying to read it reverse. With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. If you don't know, Ashley Poston is the author of The 7-Year Slip and Dead Romantics.
Okay.
I didn't really enjoy The 7-Year Slip. It was just fine to me, but I loved The Dead Romantics. So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh, anything by Ashley Poston, I think I'll read. So I saw that she came out with this novella. All there's like a collection of Amazon original books.
Yeah, I think I saw like one of them is like
Yeah,
Kristen Lauren and another one's Abby Jimenez. All the
yeah. I'm currently reading the Abby Jimenez one right now, but I didn't finish it yet. But I read this one. These some of them are really short, and this was one of the short ones. This one is essentially my best friend's wedding meets The Hangover. Um, and so this one we follow a girl that her family is essentially cursed by love, and for her, whoever she kisses, they find their soulmate the next day. So she can never find love, but whoever she kisses, they find love right after the kiss. And her best friend, who is a guy, is getting married, and he makes her his best man, and his bride, her maid of honor is a dude. And so you think it's like a love triangle. Like I thought it was going to be like a love triangle situation, but it's not. So essentially what happens is that there's a bachelor party, and the groom disappears, kind of like in The Hangover. And so Audrey and the maid of honor guy is, backtracking and to see if they can find him before the wedding. And that's essentially the story, and romance ensues, and they figure out what really happened, and feelings are revealed, and that's how it goes. And yeah, I thought it was entertaining, but so the conclusion as to where the groom was kind of like, what? Like, okay.
Was he on the roof of the hotel?
No, it was kind of stupid.
All right, yeah, don't
it's
tell
like
me.
Yeah, I won't say anything. It was like common sense, like, anyways. Yeah, it would have been good if that aspect was like fixed a little bit, so it seemed like our characters weren't like clueless, But yeah, I rated it 2.5, 0.5 stars higher than You Mean the Nightmare Painter, just because this one was more entertaining.
All right. My next lowest rating book, and I'm sad this is kind of my lowest rating. But I mean, I wished it was a little better. So it is 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater, same author as Half a Soul, the most common books, and behind me. But so this is the second book in her series. It's a companion book. It's not really a sequel. It has different characters. So it's like a cross between Cinderella and Rumpelstiltskin in a way. What's her name? Effie. She's a housemaid in this duke's house, she's a maid of a duke, okay? um
Mm-hmm.
and she hates it, like she hates that life. And um she falls in love with the son of the duke, Mr. benedict benedict
Okay.
Benedict. And so um she she kind of runs during like this ball type of party. um she sneaks out and she runs into a fairy. And if you read the Half of Soul, fairies tend to be tricky with
Mm-hmm.
their magic. So this fairy, um, what's his name? Lord Blackthorn. That's what his name is. Lord Blackthorn. He wants to learn how to commit goodwill towards the poor. So he says, "Oh, I he tells Effie that he can grant her wish if she can stitch 10,000 stitches in his coat." Of course, Effie's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." So she has 1 month for Mr. Benedict to marry her while she sews 10,000 stitches in his jacket. And of course, Lord Blackthorn, he's not like those typical fairies. He wants to help her um, complete this task, but every time he does try to help her, something always goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the gist of it. It's not I'm just like, I'm kind of sad. Like I personally did not enjoy this as much as Half a Soul, but only because of the main character, Effie. Like I
Oh.
did not vibe with her. She I don't know. Do you think you're going to read this?
I've watched some recent reviews about that one and the third book, and they weren't positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Effie, like, Half a Soul, the main character, there was a reason why she was the way she was, right?
yeah.
Effie, there was, yeah, she's a maid and she hates it. Like, she hates cleaning up after people, but she like comes across as she herself is a selfish person. um but when she makes choices, because the Mr. not Lord Blackthorn, the fairy, he
Mm-hmm.
thinks that she is being selfless. She's being selfless, and it makes him want to help her even more. But in actuality, it's because she doesn't want to. She just doesn't want to deal with the consequences, I guess.
Okay.
That makes sense. But yeah, I just like every time something happened, she was like, "Oh, but wait, how's this gonna help me marry this guy?" Like, her the only time she exuded any like selfless behavior is when she was worrying about her brother who was sick. But like, she had a friend who was trying to help her marry this guy, but she was like, I don't know, I can't. Like, every time the fairy tried to help her with something, she was like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? You're just inconveniencing me, and don't do this, and just why don't you just like leave it and let me worry about it? That kind of vibe. And I was like,
Okay.
dude, he was just trying to help you. Like, he wants you to marry this guy, and all you care about is like making sure it doesn't inconvenience you.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but it was just like she just came across as selfish, and I was just like not here for it. And I don't know how I don't know how the romance happened. Like I did not I didn't want to like I didn't believe like that's how romance should have happened. I was just like it would have been better if she she learned a lesson. Like the character development isn't it feels like there wasn't one. Like she was just very one note. It's like she didn't go through any trials or tribulations to become a better person. She was just like, oh wait, actually I like this guy, so peace. I was like,
Well, oh, that's unfortunate.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like looking into that book too, and then until I saw there's like it was like multiple people that said like the next two books weren't as good as the first.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah, like
sucks.
I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like when they said, "Oh, it's like Cinderella," I'm like, okay, I'll just read it. You know, I really liked Half a
Yeah.
Soul. I'll just give it a chance. And I'm like, okay, I understand now. I'm probably not going to read the third book. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like the cover's pretty and all, but
Yeah,
that's
I like the aesthetic of it. I like
mm-hmm,
the covers. It's like so
mm-hmm,
magical.
mm-hmm,
All right. So my next book, I gave it, I don't really know. Like I go back and forth, but as of right now, I gave it a 3. Um, so so this is my crown book.
mm.
So this is my crown book. You remember?
Yes.
You gifted it to me. Like, okay, so the premise was very interesting. So this one, um, so there's danger coming to Camelot, and King Arthur is in danger. So the great Merlin sends his daughter Guinevere to wed King Arthur to be his sole protector. And the thing is that nobody could know her true background, that she's a changeling. She's not really Guinevere. She's just pretending to be her, um, even though, like, the true Guinevere died. Um, and, like, she doesn't even know her true name or, the ways of unmagical people. So she's kind of like learning these things as she goes. So yeah, so the premise is really interesting that, oh, it's this girl impersonating Guinevere, and she marries King Arthur to be his protector. So she's a witch, and so she, like, throughout the book, she's mostly setting up like protective barriers, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
to protect King Arthur, and she's throughout the book there's a lot of nothing going on. It's
Mm-hmm.
like her just trying to figure out, who is like the culprit of, who's a threat, I guess. Who's a threat to King Arthur, and, you know, like how she could, you know, get rid of the threat, essentially. But yeah, so there were some very interesting like takes of this story, twists and turns, but other than that, like it took a long time for something to happen. So like a majority of the action was probably like the last 40 pages of the book. Like there was like a lot of potential throughout the book, and I feel like the author just didn't take advantage of that event that was so interesting. Yeah, so I don't want to see what happens in the next book because of the last 40 pages. But yeah, we'll see.
It's a nice
But
cover though.
yeah, it's a really pretty cover. And yeah.
Full
So,
disclosure, it was like such a cover, but I was like, oh my gosh, this cover is so pretty.
yeah, it's really pretty.
I think it's an ongoing series, right? I think the last time I checked, there was like a whole
I
series of that
I
book.
think there's only 3.
Three?
And I think the third one's out. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that was the Guinevere deception. Deception. Not really Guinevere.
I totally forgot about that book, honestly. I was like, I read the plot and I was like, oh, I think this might be good. But then I totally, like, after I gave it to you, I was like, completely out of my head. um, let me see. I guess I'll say this one. I guess this is my 3. So I know this isn't really a classic. It's a rendition of a classic.
Okay.
Pride and Premeditation. So
Okay.
it's a rendition of Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. I don't know. I can't do an English accent. But yes, it's a young adult book, and it's basically Pride and Prejudice meets Law and Order. So Elizabeth Darcy, not Darcy. Well, technically she's a Darcy now, but Elizabeth Bennet. She is I guess she's 17 in this book, and she wants to be a lawyer. But since this is Victorian England and women can't really do much, she tries her very hardest to become that lawyer by unofficially working for her dad, who's a barrister, I believe. I don't. There's like so many different. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about Law and Order except the show. And so I guess she wants to be a solicitor and work for her dad, who's a barrister. Whatever. I guess a barrister is a real lawyer, and a solicitor just helps the lawyer, like an assistant, I guess.
Okay.
But anyways, you watched Pride and Prejudice, right? The one with Elizabeth with Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it starts off with Mr. Bingley, who becomes accused of murder. And so for her to officially work for her dad tells her, if you can solve a case with using while using logic, you'll get hired. And she's like, bet. So
Mhm.
when Mr. Bingley gets accused of murder, she's there like, oh, let me solve your case. And he's like, no, sorry. I would love for you to solve my case, but my friend Mr. Darcy's gonna help me out. Who Mr. Darcy is a real solicitor. He's a young lawyer to be. And so of course that's where we meet like the other characters like Mr. Collins, Jane, her sisters, Mr. Wickham, whatever, what's her name, the Baroness, whatever, Lady Catherine. They all
Mhm.
come into play, and of course she has too much pride. Or wait, he has too much pride. She has too much prejudice, and yeah, they clash as they try to solve the murder of some dude.
Absent.
Yes.
Okay.
It was kind of a cute read. I didn't expect. I went into this book not expecting much because it is a rendition. It is a young adult book, so I knew not a lot of things were gonna happen. Um,
Mhm.
there were some circumstances where certain characters came in. I was like, oh, I wish there was a little better. Like I wish the author like showcased them a little differently. But I mean, it's fine. They're all supposedly like late teens, early 20s. So what do I expect? Not much.
Mhm.
um, there are some lines that I recognize from the movie and the classics, so that was fun. Um,
Oh.
so I feel like this book is like a great introduction to the young people to Pride and Prejudice, with without those big English words that's hard to pronounce or hard to understand. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I mean, yeah, it's like I would say it's like a cute, cozy read. I mean, uh, did I know who was the killer? I'm trying to think. Um, you know what? I was. I wouldn't say I was surprised at who ended up being the killer, but I certainly didn't expect it. Does that make sense? Like I didn't know who it was going to be. Like usually I can guess.
Mhm.
Um, it's like it's just like you know who it is. But then I was just the whole entire time I was like, huh, who? Like I thought it was this one guy, but it was just he was part of it, but he wasn't the main guy. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it just I don't know, it makes me want to watch Pride and Prejudice again, or at least a Jane Austen film. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do have to say this is like off topic, but I think my favorite Pride and Prejudice rendition that's not based on the classic, but like they take their own liberties of telling that story is
Okay.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. It has that girl who played Cinderella. Her is her name no, her name's not Lily Collins. That's another one. Um, the
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, yeah,
I
her
just won't remember her name. The girl that played Pamela Anderson?
maybe. I didn't watch that one. I think,
Uh,
yeah, you know what? Her, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. Kind of want to watch that one too, but it's hard. It's always hard to find. But yeah, I mean, there's not besides the besides the like the main plot of this book. Like it was very like you know where it was going. Elizabeth and Darcy were gonna get together, but
Yeah.
and Jane and Mr. Bingley were gonna get together. So, I mean, the mom was annoying as usual.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very very cute. And I
Yeah, it's a pretty cover.
yeah, what's it called? I Inside Flap. This was one of my first.
Oh.
This was my one of my first books I got from my books subscription. So it's been sitting in my library for like 2 years.
That's fine. Nothing to be ashamed of. I have a lot, like, aging. Okay, so my next read, 3.5 stars, and it is called The Maiden by Alex Michaelides. Michaelides.
Is that a
You don't
Greek
know?
book?
It's inspired by a Greek story. And this is the same author as the popular Silent Patient.
Wait, is it? I thought it was a different. It doesn't have. Okay, wait. Can I see the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I read something else. Okay, sorry.
No worries. So yeah, so each book is inspired by a Greek story, but these are thrillers. So these cases are inspired by like Greek characters and stories. So for this one, we follow Mariana. She's like she's probably like early 30s. She's a psychotherapist, and she comes to Cambridge University where her niece attends because her niece's friend was murdered, and so she goes there to comfort her and stuff. But like during her time there, she kind of gets weird vibes from one of the Greek professors at Cambridge. She has this feeling that he is the murderer, just because he's like so like weird, and he's very charismatic and handsome, but then he also has like weird thought processes and whatnot. So she's kind of like taking it upon herself to like investigate this guy, even though like the police kind of like tell her to back off and that they'll handle it. So yeah, so it's pretty much how the story goes. And it's called The Maidens because this professor has a group. They kind of seem like a fan group of his. And this group of girls, they're slowly getting killed off one by one, and so that's another part that makes Mariana believe that he's the murderer. But yeah, that's all I'll say. So obviously I didn't think this one was as good as Silent Patient, because I didn't mention this one yet. But it still had its like moments where I gasped or like I got teary-eyed and stuff.
Aww.
But yeah, it was so it had its moments, but the ultimate like conclusion kind of didn't make sense. So that's kind of where it fell for me, and I guess with a lot of other people that I've seen that had reviewed this as well. Yeah, if the conclusion held up to the story, I probably would have given it a 5, but yeah, the conclusion didn't make sense. But that was this one.
Okay. Alright. So my other 3-star read is the first book of this King of Sin series, The King of Wrath. This is more of a enemies to lovers. When you hear the word wrath, what do you think of?
Like
anger?
Yeah, like how do I like somebody's going to show their wrath upon other people, like their anger.
Yeah. So enemies to lovers, the main guy, Dante, I guess. Yeah, his name is Dante. Oh, I forgot the girl's name. Oh well. So he basically gets blackmail to marry this woman, like his blackmailer's daughter, because the blackmailer wants to move up into society. Dude, I forgot her name. So he agrees to marry her, but while he does that, he plans his revenge. He plots his revenge towards her and her family. Because apparently you don't blackmail him, and if you do, you meet his wrath. Hence, but I mean, of course, this is a romance book, so during that year where he plots his revenge, he falls in love with his future wife. And then, so it's just basically him, in turmoil, in self-turmoil, like, oh, should I get my revenge, or should I just let it go and just be with this woman that I love now? Because everyone knows if you succeed in your revenge, you lose the woman you love. Because yeah, it's her family. Like, she doesn't know why he decided to marry her. She herself doesn't want to get married. She's one of those like, what is it called? Self, like, she didn't get any handouts from her parents, and she succeeded in making her small business successful among the rich. She's self-proclaimed, or self-efficient, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to lose that independence, but like I said, romance ensues. She falls in love with him, he falls in love with her, but she doesn't know why he doesn't want to marry her until, someone's gonna find out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, um, I would say this was a fine read. Like, um, I always love a good enemies to lovers romance.
Okay.
Except this took place in modern day New York, and it's the first book of the series. And I think it's probably I would say it's a good introduction to the series. Um, it's by all means not cozy. It's um, I think it's just like I think it's like about 350 pages of will they won't they type of thing. Um, but yeah, it's like what is it called? A billionaire CEO romance,
Oh, so yeah, billionaire trope.
billionaire trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, except she's not a billionaire, but she's rich. Like she's part of like the rich crowd.
Community. Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. Like I read it pretty quick. Short book.
That's good. Um, okay, so my next read, I think that's okay, so my next read, I gave it 4 stars. That could change because I'm like the more I think about it, like the more I feel like I liked it. So this is classic horror. So I read Carrie.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of most people know what this is about or have an idea of what this is about. So it's about, it's about a girl that has telekinetic powers. And it just like, sh- so you just, so the book, it's kind of weird how the book is told. So some parts are Carrie's point of view, but then other parts are like witnesses sharing their experiences with her from like childhood to her current age and whatnot. And so Carrie is about a girl with telekinetic powers who was bullied at school. And at home, she was abused by her very religious mother. So, yeah. So that's pretty much the gist of it. And
Can't believe you read that book. Ugh.
why?
So scary.
It's actually not. It's more sad than it is scary. I feel like. Like, so like, like I've been bullied and made fun of like here and there through grade school. I'm not sure if you have, but like, it's a sucky feeling. Like it's one of the worst feelings. But like the way I was like made fun of and bullied was not to the extent as this girl's.
Oh, yeah.
How she was bullied.
She got freaking. She got what's it called? The pig's blood. Did that happen in the book?
Yeah. So initially, like how she was bullied. She was kind of spoiler, but like this happened in the beginning of the book. So how it started was that the girls were taking showers after gym and she started her period. And she's like 16, 15, 16. And she had no idea what it was. So she was like freaking out, right? Because, you're bleeding. And all the other girls were like pointing and laughing and making fun of her and like throwing like tampons and pads at her and whatnot. And, like she's freaked out. And so, that happened and she's like traumatized and she goes home like not only does she get bullied that day, but her mom is punishing her that she started her period because she like starting your period is like a sin or whatever because you're becoming like a woman who's gonna, have sex and all that. So like she's getting abused at home and like throughout the book, the main girl that was that started the bullying, she gets in trouble. And there's like this whole thing around it and like she like ultimately like she doesn't get to go to prom and so she's obviously very upset and she wants to get revenge, so she like tries to get revenge on Carrie and like, dude, just leave her alone. Aww. Like she's not doing anything. Like the bully girl is just like so upset that she got in trouble for bullying Carrie and she thinks Carrie deserves like more bullying. I was like, and that's how like she comes up with the idea of the pig's blood and whatnot. But yeah, like, and throughout the book, there are different point of views of, people witnessing weird happenings at Carrie's house, like telekinetic things. And, it ultimately comes to the point of the prom where Carrie feels like she's finally fitting in and like she feels the most beautiful and like the guy that she went to prom with was like actually like sort of into her. And then the pig's blood happened and then she let all hell loose. And like I didn't watch the movie in its entirety because like I was super young at the time that it came on TV and I only watch certain parts, but like I didn't know like the extent of it, like what happened after the prom.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but yeah, it was like, so Stephen King has a way of like humanizing like his characters, like they felt real even though, telekinetic powers. But yeah, like I felt so bad for Carrie, like she doesn't deserve this. Like the people in her life are just like so bad and whatnot. But
Lee says the movie is scarier, which I agree with. Like, I think that's why I said it's scary because I watched that movie when I was young, and like that movie, like of course, like you're taught like, oh, don't be mean to people, but that movie taught me, yeah, don't be mean to people. Like, do not bully because you don't know what's gonna happen.
I think the message was really
and it like I still get scared watching that movie, like because I know what's gonna happen, and I just, it's sad, but I still get like, oh my gosh, they're gonna, the end. But yeah, and then Carrie 2 came out, and I was like, that movie was okay. It wasn't scary, but it was like it felt like a cheesy horror high school movie, but whatever. But yeah, Carrie, watch the original with Sissy Spacek.
I mean,
she makes such a good Carrie. Like I don't see anyone else.
Yeah, so sad. But yeah, definitely like the ending of the book. She was something else, like, and just like seeing what she was doing from other people's perspective, it was freaky. But yeah, like I felt that it was more sad than scary. But that's me. That's me though.
Wow, okay. All right. I don't know how you can read Stephen King books. They're so thick. Like thick with three C's.
Carrie is actually like his earlier books are pretty thin. So Carrie, I think, was like a standard 300, 350.
Okay.
But
Still not gonna read it.
it's fine.
I mean, this is how much. This is like my comfort level of murder mystery, like murder books. This is my comfort. Like when we were reading The Handmaid, what was The Handmaid's Tale? The Handmaid.
Oh no,
Uh,
the maid
The
or something
Housemaid.
like
The
that.
Housemaid.
Yeah, the housemaid.
Like even that, I got scared reading that book. Um. Anyways.
Yeah.
My next book, it's kind of teetering from 3.5 to 4 stars. More close. I would say it's like 3.75, 3.8.
Okay.
This one. The House of Flame and Shadow. The anticipated read of 2024 came out in, I don't know,
Like January something.
January 30th, January 31st, I think. The end of January. And yeah, there are some parts I liked, some parts I didn't like. So, Sarah J. Maas is known, she's kind of like, okay, I know Lee's gonna probably get offended by this, but she is kind of like the female version of Brandon Sanderson. Okay, she's all about epic fantasy, but geared towards romance and her female audience. There was a lot of world building, a lot of like. There's so many character POVs, and
Oh no.
like the part that I wanted to read, I enjoyed, but the part like the cutaways to other characters, I was like, no, I don't want to read about this guy. Go back. It came to the point where I was like starting to hate a few of these characters, and some parts I was questioning like the main character's decisions, who is Bryce, and her mate Hunt. Why would I get Lisa's? Why would I get offended? I don't even know who she is. Well, it's because you're not a woman. Look in my library. You'll see a whole bunch of Sarah J. Maas books. You'll see it all over the place. She kind of has a crown right here. She, yeah, it kind of looks like a crown. if you look really closely and you squint your eyes. But yes, yeah, I only say it's like 3.8 because like of the mass, the enormity of this book. Like I felt like this was a big old I never watched the anime show One Piece or Naruto or Bleach, but I felt like there were so many filler episodes that I did not need to know. Like, I just wish she just get to the main point. But yes, very thick book. This was the book that put me in a reading slump, honestly. It took, sad to say, it took me like about a week to read this book. Usually I can get through a Sarah J. Maas book pretty quickly, but since there was so much going on, like sometimes I just needed a break from it. And then after I got done with it, I was just like, oh, I can't read. Like, I don't feel like reading anymore. And so I was just like, a week and a half break of reading and give me time to process what I just read. It was like, I don't know if there's gonna be a fourth book. It was such an open-ended ending. Like, if she doesn't come out with a fourth book, I'll be happy with the way it ended. But I would not be surprised if she did make a fourth book, because technically there's four houses, and this third book is the third house, so she probably does. She probably does have
Okay.
plans for the fourth book, but the fourth book is probably going to be in a POV of one of the characters I hate.
Oh.
But I would probably still read it because she did the exact same thing with her Akatar series. And I loved that. And then that character I hated in that book, I love her now.
Oh.
She made me love that hated character.
Oh.
But this one, I don't know. Spoiler alert, it's a dude.
Oh.
Whoever watched this, they probably know who I'm talking about. But I just don't. All the parts that I was like, that I anticipated for, it happened, and now I'm excited for the next book in the Akatar series, which is probably a long ways away.
Oh, I thought it was done. It's not done?
Mm-mm.
No? Oh,
Mm-mm.
wow.
I know, I'm sad. I wanted to be here. And then I saw an interview of Sarah J. Maas. She said it's not even written yet. It's just in her head. I'm like, put it on paper right now.
I know, have something down.
Put it. The book is thick. You can say it has a lot of mass. Shut up.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever. But yes. So looking forward to that. It made me want to reread one of her other earlier series, so I'm in the process of reading that one, the Throne of Glass series, which I kind of wanted to read again anyways. So I like rereading books that I like.
Nothing wrong with that. So this next book, I didn't give it a rating, because I felt that it would be wrong to rate it. It's nonfiction, Britney Spears' memoir. So yeah, it didn't feel right to rate somebody's life, you know? But we all know who Britney Spears is. She's like America's, pop princess, sweetheart, whatnot. And in this book, I think it was like one of the best-selling books last year. Because everybody wanted to know the tea. But yeah, it was really sad to read. Like, she grew up with, like a bad upbringing. Like, her dad was an alcoholic. Her mom was her mom's pretty, like, weird. And just, like, they kind of, she loved being in show, like, being a performer, and, like, her parents, like, pushed her to be a performer. And, she didn't have, like, the proper childhood, and, like, they didn't teach her the right things, and just, like, yeah, so we just, like, follow her throughout, her life, and the conservatorship, and just how she spent, like, it was, like, 13 years she was under the conservatorship, and she was, like, forced to do things she didn't want to do, like, perform things she didn't want to perform, whatnot. And, she had people, like watching over her every move, like every text, what she couldn't, like, look online freely. Like, she was very trapped. And like, yeah, and then she spilled the tea on Justin Timberlake. Oh my god, like I am so team Britney. So essentially like she tells like how Justin Timberlake obviously cheated and whatnot. He got around, and like Britney Spears knew that, but she kind of pretended like nothing happened, I guess. Like, back then it was kind of normal for guys to be like douchebags and then girls to just like they can't do anything wrong. So like when the whole thing about Britney making out with what's his name? Her choreographer, Wade Robson or something. The whole thing about her making out with him and then like Justin like making it seem like she like fully cheated on him. I was just like, I was so mad, like, oh my gosh, just like how he's like going out with so many like women and cheating on Britney, and then Britney does this like little thing and like bam, like he ruins her life. But yeah, so what happened after that, like the relationship still kind of went on between her and Justin. And he gets her pregnant, and he tells her that he doesn't want to be a father, so he kind of pressures her into having an abortion. And she very clearly does not want an abortion, but she feels pressured from him and other people to like take the abortion pills. And so she goes through that, and she's like at her darkest time, and then Justin Timberlake breaks up with her via text, and that's when he comes out with like Cry Me a River and stuff. Like I was just like, dude, like why would, oh my gosh, because he wants to like make that money, and bank off of the breakup and like the cheating scandal. And so yeah, during Lee says, wasn't it Kevin Federline or some? No, so Kevin Federline is the guy that she got with later in her life, and he was a backup dancer, and
she had 2 kids with him, and then they broke up.
Yeah, so she had 2 kids with him, and um she so she was kind of experiencing, so Kevin Federline wanted to become a pop star too. So he was kind of banking off of the fact that Britney Spears is his wife, and he was trying to get his foot through the door to become like a pop star too, and become an popular artist. And with that, like he was gaining more time in the spotlight producing his new album, and he was spending less and less time with Britney and their baby. So Britney was pregnant at the time, and she had a newborn baby. So the 2 kids were only months apart. So yeah. And so she was dealing with, I want to say, the postpartum, because she just had her first kid and she was pregnant with the second kid. And so she started, the paparazzi and the media started to make it seem like she was crazier than she was. And so that was starting to get to her, and then like she was kind of like shown as she was shown negative in the spotlight, and Kevin started to like side with the media, and so he wanted to break up. get a divorce, blah blah blah.
He wanted to
Take
take
the
the kids.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to take the kids, even though he was spending no time with them. And so yeah, so all of that, it was just like like deteriorating like her brain, you know? Like that's like heartbreaking. Like like getting your kids taken away from you, failed marriage, and then you got people like still talking trash about your past relationship. Yeah, it's just like it was so sad, but like I'm glad she's, out of the conservator ship now.
She's doing a
Um
little better now.
yeah, she's doing a little better. She's kind of like well, like I saw a recent article that like her kids don't want to have anything to do with her now, and I'm like, oh my god, can't catch a break. But yeah, that was that. There's more tea in the book, but yeah, I needed to know.
Nice.
Hmm.
Oh, well.
Lee says, "Damn, poor Brittany, and her father too, right? Doesn't he treat her bad? Yeah.
Her whole
So
family treated her bad. Her sister wants nothing to do with her either. Like,
oh, it's opposite now, because like, what's her name, Jamie?
Jamie Lynn.
She came out with like." So Britney's mom and Jamie Lynn Spears came out with memoirs, and they're painting Britney in the bad light. And so like when Britney's memoir came out, she was like, I don't want anything to do with you. Like have a good life. Like Jamie. But yeah, so they're just using her to become more popular themselves. Essentially.
Yeah. Team Britney all the way. Lee says,
Mm-hmm.
what did I say again, babe? That you had you hella offended? It was last week or something about Britney. LOL. I was kidding, but I forgot what I said. I forgot what you said too. I I think it was when that video came out of with Justin Timberlake at a concert, and what Britney apologized to him about something, and then Justin Timberlake was like, I don't give an F about apologies or whatever. What was it? I don't know. And she took it back, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, like her parents never taught her to be strong, I guess, and like how they didn't teach her how she should be treated in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they failed to treat her respectfully as a daughter too. So, yeah, it sucked that she was never taught those things and like how she should be treated, you know?
Yeah.
Sad.
All right. Okay, well, tough to follow that. Okay, so my next book, I give it a 4 stars. It's the last book, The King. Oh, did my light change? Oh. The King of Pride. I would say this one had, I would say, the 5-star romance.
Okay.
And I gave it a 4 overall. So, just thinking about it, it's making my heart flutter. So, I don't know. I don't know if you ever saw on Book Talk about guys, like, the best book boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
The main guy character, Kai Young, is like one of the best book boyfriends out there. Like, he comes from like well, yeah, he's comes from an Asian family, and you know what? The main girl, she's Filipino too. So I was like, okay,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
I was like Filipino girl, Chinese guy. I'm like, but yes, he has like the other books, the other guys other in the other book series, other books in the series, they have like so many red flags. Him, I barely saw a red flag. He's basically a green forest. You know?
Okay.
It's like
Green forest.
he has, you know, that saying like so many green flags, he's a green forest.
Oh, I've never heard that one before.
I'm
I
like
pictured something else. I was like,
no, like it's I don't know, it's been stuck in my head because of the all the Instagram reels that I'm like scrolling through, and they're always talking about green flags. So him, oh my gosh, such a green flag. Okay, so he, um, since this is a billionaire series, he's like he is I forgot what type of business he's in, but anyways, like he comes from like this old school Asian family who's all about like familial, um, who's all about the familial attributes and likes to take care of family. And then you see this girl; she's more on the poor side. She attracts his attention, but he doesn't go at it like like an aggressive guy. He like slowly he just slowly dips his toe in the pool, you know, making sure she's comfortable with him when they first talk, and then he's like there, not like hovering over her, but also there when she needs help with like an unruly customer or like unwanted attention. So, but he doesn't like overstep his boundaries. And then he freaking he has a secret library.
oh.
So the girl, she's like an aspiring writer. So he also tries to help her there too. Like he lets her in his secret library for her to like to write. And I was like, oh my gosh, like a Beauty and the Beast moment here. Yeah, and then he like they have like they like to play piano together. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just
That's cute.
It's just yeah, but like I don't know where the pride comes from, because I mean to me, he doesn't seem like he has a lot of pride. If anything, it's his parents.
His family.
His family is the one who's prideful, and he's just like there trying to make his family like happy. Like they don't I mean, yeah, like she's like a poor class. Like I would say she's like what's it called? Middle class? Mid class. She's like middle class and he's upper class, and of course they don't want him to get within a middle class person, and but like he's like I don't care. And but when she faces problems, he steps away if he thinks he's the problem, and he doesn't do it like oh, I'm gonna abandon you because I'm hurting you. He's like, no, I'm just gonna step away and let you like work it out yourself. But if you need me, I'm here. I'm not going away. And I was like, oh my gosh. He's not there to mansplain or solve problems for you. He's just there as like a supporting, like what a supporting boyfriend should be. I was like, oh my gosh.
Lee says, what the fuck did that phrase mean? The one that Mia said? WTF.
Oh, the green. He has so many green flags. He's a green forest. You know, It's the opposite. It's the opposite of red flags. Okay, I like. I don't know. Like, that's what that like 5-star romance. If anything, 5-star guy right here.
There you go, Lee. Gotta read it.
Well, I will say, dang, my light keeps changing. What the hell? I did say like I found like similarities to Lee, so I think that's why.
Oh.
Yeah. I there are some similarities. I think that's why I like this book because I feel like
compare,
I feel
or
like
you relate. Okay.
I related because he's like Lee is like, I mean, yeah, he's like a little different, but personality wise.
Your light keeps changing because you're loud. You gotta calm down. Stop being mad.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. You know what? I changed my mind.
She's Carrie's cousin.
I changed my mind about the similarities. You could do whatever.
It's like, you're not a green forest.
Never mind. Forget
Get out
it.
of here.
Get out of here. But yes, so yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm into the 5s. So my next one is Silent Patient.
Is that a knife?
No, it's a painting of the female character, and it's like the paper's torn.
Oh, okay.
For her
I
mouth.
thought she was holding a knife in her mouth.
Oh no, it's yeah.
Nice.
You can see it better in person, but so this girl, she's Alicia Berenson. She is said to have like the perfect life. She's a famous painter. She lives in a very nice home in London that overlooks like a nice like park and whatnot. She's married to a successful photographer, like blah blah blah. She's living the dream. But one night when her husband comes home late after a shoot, she ends up shooting him in the face 5 times, and then she doesn't speak a word after that. Like, nobody knows why. Like, she doesn't talk. Like, if she can't talk, if she doesn't want to talk, whatever. And so she's admitted into like a ward, just so they could try to work with her to see like what's up with her. So then in comes our main character, Theo. He's a psychotherapist. So kind of like the other book, they're both psychotherapists, and he takes her case because like I guess like he wants to like help her because he has a feeling that she's innocent. So, you know, he takes it upon himself to like try to help her, and he has to like go through. So throughout the book, he's going through, you know, who she her contacts and whatnot, and you know, her like at her job, just trying to figure out like what led up to her shooting her husband and whatnot. So I'll just leave it at that. Like this, yeah. So like I kind of guessed who was behind what happened at like 60%, and like who I guessed was right, but the way that the author, like the extent of it, like where they went with it, like I was not expecting at all. Like, so that's why I gave it a 5 stars too. And just like the journey along the way, it was like interesting. Like it always kept you wanting to know what was gonna happen next. But yeah, it was a good time. Like, yeah, the ending kind of like blew me away. But yeah, like, I don't know what else to say about it. It was creepy. It made me uncomfortable, but I enjoyed it. And like the other one, it's inspired by a Greek story as well. Yeah,
So it made you like a good uncomfortable,
yeah.
not a
So yeah, like I tend to be more intrigued when I'm uncomfortable. So that's why I like reading thrillers and horror books because I'm like, ugh, like I need to know more. Like, I don't know. I'm different.
You're different. That's okay.
But yeah, that was the silent patient.
Okay. Well, my last book that I read, I think I'm giving this, I'll give it a 4.5. I don't think I have any five-star reads this month. Um, but I don't know if you'll be surprised. I don't think you'll be surprised that I picked this book up. I didn't even, hold on. Bride.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it came out like January something. Like
yeah, like I totally forgot this came out like recently. I knew I was waiting for it, but then like when the this book came out, I totally forgot about this book, and then when I went to Target and I saw it, like, oh, I gotta buy it now. So, actually, I think this. After reading that book, I read the 10,000 Stitches, which didn't help my reading slump at all. Like I was just like I was over it, and then I saw this book and I picked it up and I was like, okay, it broke my reading slump for sure. Like, honestly, I think I like this book more than her other books. I think this just crept up to the #1 spot.
Like, so she should like stick to fantasy.
Fantasy is such a loose term when it comes to this book. So it's kind of like it's known, I guess it's known as a paranormal Romeo and Juliet type of book. Like she's a vampire, he's a werewolf, and they hate each other, but to keep the peace, or to keep the peace between the two clans, they make a treaty or a marriage of what is that word? They
marriage of convenience.
Yeah, marriage of convenience, I guess. So she is the bride of basically the vampire king, and he's the alpha of the werewolf clan. So they're like, okay, they're known as collaterals. So the werewolf clan keeps her, while the vampire clan keeps like a prominent werewolf like child. So they get married, and of course she's different, you know. She's not like your typical vampire. She was basically, she wasn't raised by humans, but she lived in the human world the majority of her life. So she doesn't mind being a vampire, but she would rather be with the humans because she never felt she belonged in the vampire clan because she was different. like she felt like she was collateral to her dad. Like she felt like her dad didn't care about what happened to her, that he was willing to risk her life for the good of many. So,
Mm-hmm.
and people, for some people, the rest of the vampire community hated her because of that, because because she lived in the human world for some reason. Like her
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice meant shit to them.
Okay.
So while she's living in the werewolf community, like he tries to avoid her as much as possible, but romance ensues. And
Yes.
so yeah, they learn to live together, so it became forced proximity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, this, by all means, it's not the greatest book out there. It doesn't have like it's not. No offense to Ali Hazelwood, but it's not like the greatest writing. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
greatest world building. You go in there knowing that you're going to get a cheesy romance out of it, which I did, and I loved it. And I was like, I hope there's a second book.
Oh.
Yes, I hope there's a second.
Was it open-ended ending?
No, I think it got. I think all the loose ends got tied up. I just want a second book of her friend. Like I
Okay.
want a companion book of her friend and this other dude. um,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, I was just like, oh, this is so cute. Um, it it made me mad in the right places. It made my heart flutter at certain scenes, and yeah, I was just like, it made me hate people that I'm supposed to hate. So I was like, I was like,
Oh.
and then I was reading I was looking at the ratings of other people, and they're in total agreement. Like, it's I think it's probably one of her
Stronger books.
stronger books. I guess it makes sense because she's starting to get her she's starting to how's that word? She's starting to become like stronger in her writing.
Getting the hang of it or
Yeah.
something.
Like she's already
Okay.
released a few books, and the more she releases, the stronger she gets. So, I mean, of course, there was some sciency aspect in this because it's Ali Hazelwood. It has to have some
Mm-hmm.
sort of science tidbits in
Mm-hmm.
there, even though it's a
Oh.
even though it's about a werewolf and a vampire getting together. Um, and you know what? It's not as spicy as her other books. It's kind
Okay.
of like the spiciness is like, I would say, two chili peppers.
But it's still adult.
I think it probably
Okay.
can be considered. You know what? Maybe new adults.
Okay.
Like, it's not. Um, if a teenager picked this up, I wouldn't be embarrassed that I know what they're reading. um, yeah, so I kind of I kind of want to read something like this again. This werewolf vampire. Maybe I'm back to my vampire werewolf phase. Who
I mean,
knows?
I feel like it's coming back. Like more vampire stuff is coming out.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
Like
usually
that Serpent and something book on Kindle Unlimited.
I I DNF'd that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
about
that
that.
one. That one is super popular.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah.
Wait, I don't know. I don't remember why I DNF'd it. Like, I remember liking the book. I just stopped reading it. Like, for some reason, I don't remember. So yeah, it's still unfinished in my Kindle library.
Oh.
But
Oh.
yeah, I know it's always like a mixture of vampires and fairies. Like, if vampires show up, there's always a fairy right behind them, and then I was like kind of getting tired of reading that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Sorry, excuse me.
Oh.
Babe, if you're listening, can you bring me my water, please? You'll get that in like a few minutes.
All right. So for my last read and my 5-star couple, I picked up Divine
Oh,
Rivals.
I read the book.
And I'm currently reading the second one.
Aw.
So yeah, I was skeptical when like this was getting like super high ratings. Everybody was loving it, and like I was kind of like hesitant because I was like, oh boy, I'm probably not gonna like it because it's young adult, blah blah blah. Then I picked it up and I was like, oh my god.
No, it's on my
So
TBR, The Divine Rivals.
it yeah, so it's cute, like it's so cute. Like the writing is so beautiful. Like I have her other series, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet. But yeah, I think she might be a new favorite author. Depends on how this one ends. But I mean, so this one is about two. It's a rivals to lovers romance, and it's about two people that work at a newspaper company, and they're competing for a writing position, like a higher for a promotion essentially. And her brother recently went off to war, and she's struggling financially because like her mom is like an alcoholic too, and so she's like pretty desperate for this promotion. And the guy is a well-off kid from a good family. Um, but he has his own issues. His parents set him up in a arranged engagement, so he's going through that. But so yeah, they somehow end up writing each other, and that's where the romance ensues. And she doesn't know who he is, but he knows who she is, and so that's where it kind of goes. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so cute. Like I haven't felt this way. Like I couldn't put this down. Like I did not skim anything. Like I was eating up every word this author was writing. Um, like I didn't feel this way about wanting to know what's next in the romance since for like 15 years ago when Twilight came out, and I was like, oh my god, and then the ending came and it like killed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it made me feel that young again. And I was
Aw.
like, oh my god, like they're so cute. But yeah, it's a really cute. They're really cute. Yeah. And so
Aw.
I'm currently reading the second book.
Look at you gushing about a romance book. Who are you? We don't know her.
It's it's Fate to Black romance.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna like rate it like 6 stars or like an S tier, but I felt the ending. I kind of got mad at the ending, but like it's the first book out of a duology, so of course there's gonna be like loose threads.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's why I'm like kind of slowly reading the beginning of this one. But I heard the same things where like it's a slower read for this one at first, until you get into the meat of it, and that's where everybody starts to love it again. But yeah, Divine Rivals. Yeah, and it's a fantasy too, but you don't need the fantasy is more in the back lines. You don't really need to understand it for it to make sense. And, like it just works. But
Nice.
that was that one. Yeah. That was my last book. So yeah. We did better this time around. Last time we ended like at 11 something.
Yeah, well, we read a lot more books last month.
I mean, I think we only read like 11, right?
No, I read like around 12 or 13 books last month, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how much I read.
Around the same amount as me, because I think we just went back and forth.
All right, so March. Any new prompts that you want to read? Oh, I read 12.
Let's see. March. It's the beginning of spring. Easter time is coming soon.
We got Easter, spring, your birthday. What else?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to see if I have. As far as I know, I don't have any anticipated reads. I'm just going to read the Throne of Glass series probably this whole month. It's a 8 books. So I'll probably read that with some, I don't know. I just
Do you want me to just choose from the jar and then if anything comes to mind? Okay. Oi, oi.
Zeus Mario
Start or continue a book in a series?
Well, I'm already doing that. Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. I just started one.
Oh yeah, me too. Okay, next book. Okay, that was more for January.
What?
I don't think we should buy a favorite author. You're already doing that.
I'm already doing that.
Okay. Involves the ocean. Okay.
Involves the ocean.
So like a mermaid, pirate.
Pirates. I always get
something.
I always get a little iffy when it comes to pirates. Actually, you know what? I think I do have a book about the ocean. Well, in the ocean.
Yeah, I think I have a book too. Okay. Any other? Are we good with just these two?
Yeah, fine with those two. Oh.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like a good Easter theme, but all I can think of is Easter Bunny, and I don't want to read about a book. I don't want to read a book about an Easter Bunny. I mean, spring. Are there any books
Uh,
around spring?
um, like a book, like a book cover that reminds you of spring, maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
Mm,
what
those are usually like
holidays?
romance book covers.
Yeah. St. Patrick's Day. Read a green book.
Oh yeah. When is St. Patrick's Day anyway? So March something, right? March
The
7th.
17th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe read a read a green book or green book cover. Ah, man, I should have saved this one.
You're like, oh, man.
Oh well.
Yeah. Green book cover or a book that reminds you of spring,
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah,
Either one.
either one.
All
Uh,
right. And then what day? Dude, March is a long month.
let me see. 29th?
Okay. Good Friday.
Oh, that's Good Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. The 29th. Okay. Oof.
Yeah. Got a good reading month in. Um feeling good. Feeling good with my goals. Uh how about you?
Um, yeah, you know what? I like in the beginning I felt like I didn't meet the goals. Like I was very like I wasn't as motivated to read, but I'm happy with the outcome. Yeah,
Mhm.
it wasn't too bad of a month. I think it just felt like since it's February, it's the shortest month of the year, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't read that much.
Yeah, same here. And there's just like I feel like there was like a lot going on
Mm-hmm.
in the month of February
Yeah.
that I felt like I needed time to like rest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you have a baby crawling around now.
yeah, and he's screaming. Good times.
Good
Yeah, like, yeah, I'll tell you after. But but yeah, if anybody would like to participate in our reading month prompt for March, it um our first prompt is to start or continue a book in a series, and then our second prompt is to read something that involves the ocean. And then our third prompt is to either read a green book or read a spring inspired book or a book that reminds you of spring or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us or tuning in after the fact. Avery Wolf here,
Oh, Macy K. My
and
fingers.
we'll be. Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, I was like, ooh, my fingers. Sorry.
Oh. And then our next stream will be March 29th if you'd like to tune in at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yeah. Have a good March, good holiday.
Good holiday. Happy
Thanks.
Easter. All that.
Yeah. Happy Easter. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.